All right, ladies, we're going to get started. Peggy, I'm so glad to see you here. Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to continue our study of the one thing, and we're going to cover the beginning of part 3, extraordinary results, unlocking the possibilities within you, and cover chapters 13 and 14. So, Gary Keller goes on, he starts out with a quote from Will Rogers. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. So it's not about just being on the right track. It's making sure you're heading in the right direction and that you're actually moving, right? So there's a natural rhythm to our lives that becomes a simple formula for implementing the one thing and achieving extraordinary results: purpose, priority, and productivity. And these are bound together, forever connected, and continually confirming each other's existence in our lives. And their link leads to the 2 areas where you'll apply the one thing. One is big and one is small. Your big one thing is your purpose, and your small one thing is the priority you take action on to achieve it. The most productive people start with purpose and use it like a compass, right? We've got our compass because we're following in the right direction, not following a clock, but following a compass. Okay. They allow purpose to be the guiding force in determining the priority that drives your actions. Think of purpose, priority, and productivity as 3 parts of an iceberg. And what you see is determined by what you don't see. So think about that, right? Okay, so the productivity that you see, remember, of that iceberg, that beneath it are purpose and priority. And it is driven, productivity is driven by purpose and priority. The more productive people are, the more purpose and priority are pushing and driving them. And so with respect to productivity and profit, in business, profit and productivity are also driven by priority and purpose. And the best path to attaining productivity and profit is through purpose-driven priority. Great businesses are built one productive person at a time. So think about that in relation to the business that we have here, that we have one person at a time that we work with. We're helping to build those bricks, helping people to find success, and by doing that, helping to promote our own success, right? So the most productive people receive the greatest rewards from their businesses. So starting on chapter 13, we live with purpose. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And that is a quote from George Bernard Shaw. So about creating yourself. And that's beautiful because you have this ability to take what you have and use it to create something even better, right? So how do you use purpose to create an extraordinary life? And he goes on to talk about Scrooge, and I love this. He talks about our destinies are determined by our decisions, our lives shaped by our choices. And so he talks about Ebenezer Scrooge and the whole Christmas story. And then he goes on to say, Charles Dickens shows us a simple formula for creating an extraordinary life. Live with purpose, live by priority, and live for productivity. Welcome, Colleen. Glad to have you, honey bun. Okay, so we're just to catch you up. We're following in the story about Charles Dickens and Scrooge, and learning about what that can teach us as far as our productivity is concerned. Dickens reveals purpose as a combination of where we're going and what's important to us. He implies that our priority is what we place the greatest importance on, and our productivity comes from the actions we take. And he lays out life as a series of connected choices, where our purpose sets our priority, and our priority determines the productivity our actions produce. To Dickens, our purpose determines who we are, okay? And we know Scrooge's purpose is clearly about money, right? and his productivity is always aimed at making money. By Scrooge's own standard, he's highly productive in accomplishing his purpose. By anyone else's, it's simply a miserable life. His most important priority, which changed where he focused his productivity, right? Oh, what happened to Scrooge? His purpose changed, which changed his most important priority, which changed where he focused his productivity. So because he had a change of heart and a change of purpose, his results changed because his actions changed. Scrooge experienced the transformative power of a new purpose. So who did he become? Scrooge's purpose is no longer money, but people. He values helping people more than hoarding money and believes money is good for the good it can do. What is his priority? Where he once saved money and used people, he now uses money to save people. Hey, Marianne, honey bun.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late.
No worries. Okay, so now what is his priority? We said he's saving people now, and his actions, putting every penny he can toward others. Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. A life lived on purpose is the most powerful of all and the happiest. So he went from being miserable, right? Even though he was successful in doing and fulfilling his purpose, now he's happier because his purpose is doing good for others, right? And so that's something we always need to keep in mind. And so happiness on purpose, how do we do that, right? So ask what people want in life, and most people will say happiness. It's what most of us understand the least, right? Happiness doesn't happen the way we think. And then he goes on to tell about the story about the begging bowl. And it's really fascinating because we've got a beggar and a king. And the truth is that according to this story, in a former life, the beggar was the king's master. The king doesn't recognize who this guy is, but he had made a commitment to him. The beggar made a commitment to the king in the past life that he was going to, help him to be able to figure out who he really was and what life was about. And so he keeps trying to fill this bowl, and he has all the riches in the world. He says, whatever you want, I can give you. And he goes, don't think so much. You don't think you're going to be able to do this. And he keeps filling it and filling it and filling it with all these things. And the king is like, what is going on? What is the secret of this begging bowl? And the beggar humbly replied, there is no secret. It is simply made up of human desire. So you can't ever fill that empty bowl, ever, right? So one of our biggest challenges is making sure our life's purpose doesn't become a beggar's bowl, a bottomless pit of desire, continually searching for the next thing that will make us happy. And how many times have we met someone or noticed in ourselves someone who has achieved success in a certain way, and it's never enough? They get to what they are desiring most, and they still want more. It's not enough. That greed just keeps feeding on itself. And so you have to focus more on fulfilling that desire. There has to be more to life. There has to be more depth to what you're doing, right? So how circumstances affect us, excuse me, depends on how we interpret them as they relate to ourselves. If we lack a big picture view, we can easily fall into serial success seeking. Why? Once we get what we want, our happiness sooner or later wanes because we quickly become accustomed to what we acquire, right? So we're getting spoiled, right? We're spoiled by the things we have. This leaves us bored, and we see this in kids, and too many kids, if you really want to make a little kid happy, give them a couple of Tupperware bowls, right? They don't need to have intricate toys. The simplest stuff can make you the most happy. How about Christmas? Have you ever seen your kids open Christmas presents or grandchildren and they play with the box? right? We should all be in that spirit of wanting to play with the box, right? Finding joy in the little things, in the important things, right? Okay, so seeking something new or get to do, we may not even stop or slow down to enjoy what we've got because we automatically get up and go for something else. It's what's the next latest and greatest and biggest thing. You know, it's the iPhone 6, then it's the 6S, then it's the 8, then it's the X. You know, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. You know, it never ends. This is a good way to remain a beggar. So how do we find enduring happiness? Happiness happens on the way to fulfillment. All right. So happiness is a state of mind. It's not something that you get to. It's the process. There are 5 factors that contribute to our happiness: positive emotion and pleasure, achievement, relationships, engagement, and meaning. And of these, we're told by this particular psychologist that engagement and meaning are the most important. Becoming more engaged in what we do by finding ways to make our life more meaningful is the surest way to finding lasting happiness. When our daily actions fulfill a bigger purpose, the most powerful and enduring happiness can happen, right? So it's not getting to the place that you expect to go. It's about the state of mind that you're in the process. Money represents both getting something and the potential to get more, right? So he'll ask people, how much money do you want to earn? And they'll give crazy answers, usually quite high. And he'll say, how did you pick this number? And they're like, I don't know. You know, it kind of sounded like it would be good, right? And he said, when I ask how they arrive at this, they say it sounds like a lot. My response is, it is and it isn't. It all depends on what you do with it, right? So you could be happy with very little money, and you could be miserable as a wealthy person, right? So you have to think about that, finding the joy right where you are, no matter what, in the process, in the moment, staying present. He goes on to say that I believe that financially wealthy people are those who have enough money coming in without having to work to finance their purpose in life, right? Without purpose, you'll never know when you have enough money, and you can never be financially wealthy. You have to have a purpose. And the truth is, the end shouldn't justify the means. Wanting more money just for the sake of getting it won't bring the happiness you seek from it. Happiness happens when you have a bigger purpose than having more fulfills. So let's talk about the power of purpose. Purpose is the straightest path to power and the ultimate source of personal strength. Strength of conviction and strength to persevere, no matter what. Because if you have purpose, you're going to be able to do it. You're going to be determined to do it. And you'll be able to get through anything that will come up in order to achieve what that purpose is about, right? Knowing what matters to you and taking daily doses of actions in alignment with it. When you have a definite purpose for your life, clarity comes faster. We've talked about clarity, right? I know that Marianne and Peggy and I have talked about clarity quite a bit, and that's a big key word for all 3 of us this year. It comes faster, which leads to more conviction in your direction, which usually leads to faster decisions. So it's kind of like, again, talking about the compass, right? We got our little compass, and we're headed in the right direction. And when we're headed in the right direction and we start to see the landmarks of our success, we get excited because we're going in the right direction, right? Okay, so you'll often be the one who makes the first decisions and winds up with the best choices. And when you have the best choices, you have the opportunity for the best experiences, right? Knowing where you're going helps lead you to the best possible outcomes and experiences life has to offer, right? The one who gets there first. To the victor belongs the spoils, right? I look at this and I think about the team challenge that we have going on. And I have some wonderful ladies that are on my team that are here on this call, right? I've got Ruth Ellen and Colleen and Peggy. And Peggy and Hanny already have achieved their individual requirement for the team challenge. So what does that mean? That means that next week on the first drawing, they're going to be one of the few that are in the hat to receive an iPad engraved with longevity on it. And so that means because they've gotten there first, right? They've created conviction in their direction because they know it. They've done this before. They know how to get there. And then they're going to create faster decisions because they know what they already need to do and they do it. And then they get to make the better choices because this is what's going to be available to them. They have that chance, right? So you have to think about that. It's coming up with that clarity, right? Purpose also helps you when things don't go your way. How many times have you felt like me where you're having a really crummy day or a really crummy week and stuff just doesn't seem to be coming together? However, you still have that purpose and you say, I am not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep striving. And I know that no matter what, I'm going to get there. No matter how difficult, you have this drive, you have that passion. And so that's what I want you all to keep in mind is that no matter what, when you have a purpose, right, life will get tough. We're assured of that, right? The Bible tells us that you're going to run into hardship. However, if you have the right purpose, it's all going to be worth it. Okay. And I think that was very similar. It was something that I had learned in Al-Anon program is it works if you work it. So keep working. You're worth it. So just keep going. The purpose is there and you need to just keep going for it. And it will come to fruition if you are persistent and consistent. Knowing why you're doing something provides the inspiration and motivation to give the extra perspiration needed to persevere when things go south. Sticking with something long enough for success to show up is a fundamental requirement for achieving extraordinary results. When what you do matches your purpose, your life just feels in rhythm, and the path you beat with your feet seems to match the sound in your head and heart. Live with purpose and don't be surprised if you actually hum more and even whistle while you work. When you ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do in my life that would mean the most to me and to the world, such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary, you're using the power of the one thing to bring purpose to your life. And the big ideas for the chapter are happiness happens on the way to fulfillment. The surest path to achieving lasting happiness happens when you make your life about something bigger, when you bring meaning and purpose to your everyday actions. Discover your big why. Discover your purpose that gets you up in the morning and keeps you going when you're tired and worn down. And it's called a big why. It's why you're excited with your life. And then absent an answer, pick a direction. Pick a direction, start marching down that path and see how you like it. Time brings clarity. Again, the clarity comes up. And if you find you don't like it, you can always change your mind. It's your life and you can always change your direction. So yes, have a why that will make you work. Yes, I love that, Miriam. So anybody else have any comments or questions before we move on to chapter 14?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
This is Linda. When I was reading this, I thought about the people with that bottomless pit thing. A lot of people with ADD and ADHD are this way. There's never enough. They're never satisfied. It's just hopping from one thing to another. So that reminded me of that. And a friend of mine did a
Hold on, we lost you for a moment, Linda. Wait, there we go. Wait.
A friend of mine did a study on this for a dissertation, and she said that a lot of people with ADHD end up being salespeople because everything's always new and new and new, and they can live through other people.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. The other thing when it talks about the money and how much money do you think you need, there's a book out called First Kill All the Marriage Counselors, written by a former marriage counselor named Laura Doyle. And she said that a lot of marital conflict is because women tend to say, I want you to earn more money. We don't have enough money. And to a man he doesn't understand that. He goes, I don't understand why, and she said, we really need to learn to name what we want, because men are designed to fulfill our desires. And if we name what we want, then he'll figure out a way to get it, instead of saying, I need $5,000. And he's going, well, that doesn't make any sense to me, But if we say, I want this item, he'll go out and try to get it for us. So that made a whole lot of sense to me about the money, and really honing in on what we really want, not just a dollar figure, because that doesn't mean anything. It's what we really want that means something.
You know what? That brings up a really great point, Linda. Thank you. And truthfully, when we talk to men, and it's very interesting that you bring that up today, because remember, today is International Women's Day, right? Well, when we talk to men, they think that when we ask them something that they're asking for us to solve it. And a lot of times women just want to be heard, right? They just want they want to be able to bounce things off of it, because women, the way that we often will work is through the communication. So we'll talk to our girlfriends and we'll go buppity buppity bup and talk about whatever it is that the issue is. And then as we're processing it, it's coming out of our mouths, and all of a sudden we go, oh, all of a sudden I know what I need to do. We figure it out for ourselves. And, men don't understand that, because they think that when we're asking them for it, like Linda said, that they want to, we want them to provide it to us. Hello, Ken. Come say hi to me. Hi, sweetie. Saw the wave. Wait, hold on. Can't unmute you, honey.
He's showing me his new toy he got.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys will appreciate it.
Oh, I can appreciate that. I like that. Very nice. Hi, honey. Very nice. So, and see, there he is. He's so excited because now he's the hunter-gatherer. He can go out and provide for you. I love that. So I think that that's very true, is about the communication factor, that we need to be able to understand what it is that we're looking for when we talk with them. And often I'll say to my husband, listen, I just want you to listen to me. I don't need you to solve this. I just need you to let me talk and work it through. And he'll be like, okay, dear. Okay. So, okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add before we?
Well, I think it's like the venting. It's not like you're asking anybody to tell you anything. You just need to vent and get it off your chest, and then you're ready to go. And there you go.
That's it. I agree. Okay. All right. Anything else before we go on to living by priority? We're good? Colleen, you're looking very lovely today. Are you going out somewhere tonight? Oh, wait.
I actually went to school for a meeting to find out that my daughter's doing exceptionally well in school. And
Yay.
she just mentioned, the teacher mentioned something about women in power.
Yeah, we were reading this article today in Lynn, and it was a Wrinkle in Time article. Mm-hmm. And it said that this girl, she led the way for this boy, and said that women should lead the way. Like women lead the way for the men.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you very much. I love that, but you look lovely.
Thank you.
Good job, Emily. Congratulations on being successful. We know you have it in you. Okay, so going on to living with priority, right? Okay. Alan Lakeen said, planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. That quote really moved me, right? Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. Huge. Think about that. When you think about that, it's so true. The impossible dream, I agree, Marian. Today's International Women's Day, yes. Yes, so when you plan, you're now finding a way to reach into the future, but utilize the present. That's really powerful. And a lot of times we feel like we're so out of control, right, of our circumstances. And so if you can be in that mode of the planning and preparation, and I love how he goes in to talk about the Cheshire Cat in Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? And the cat says, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. And Alice says, I don't care much where. And the cat says, then it doesn't matter which way you go. So it really doesn't matter. What's the point? What's the point? Why ask which way you should go if you have no understanding about where you want to get to, right? There's a close connection between purpose and priority. Live with purpose and you know where you want to go. Live by priority and you'll know what to do to get there. When each day begins, we have a choice. What shall I do, or what should I do? When you're going somewhere on purpose, there will always be something you should do that will get you where you must go. When your life is on purpose, living by priority takes precedence. So then I love goal setting to the now, and we talk again about Ebenezer Scrooge. Our life is driven by the purpose we give it. Purpose has the power to shape our lives only in direct proportion to the power of the priority we connect it to. Purpose without priority is powerless. So the word priority, not priorities, right? Priority is from the Latin prior, meaning first. If something mattered the most, it was a priority. And then we messed it up, like we've talked about before, the interpretation of language. We have to start thinking about what we say and what it truly means, because we can't have more than one priority because there's only one first. And so we kind of put it into, well, it's the top priority, the highest priority, the first priority, the main priority, the most important. And that's superfluous because a priority means the one thing, the most important thing. So watch your language. Why do we set goals and create plans? We have goals and plans for only one reason: to be appropriate in the moments of our lives that matter most. While we may pull from the past and forecast the future, our only reality is the present moment. Right now is all we have to work with. Our past is but a former now, and our future a potential one. So goal setting to the now, our ability to achieve extraordinary results in the future lies in stringing together powerful moments, one after another. So what you do in any given moment determines what you experience in the next. Your present now and all your future nows are undeniably determined by the priority you live in the moment. Your daughter always tells you to be present. Yes, Kira is right, and that is true. And it is important, because think about the word present and that it's a gift, right? We need to stay in the present. So how you set that priority is who wins the battle between your present and future selves. Really another deep thing for me, because you're determining the change by the things you do now. You can't, it's the old story of you can't do the same thing over and over again expecting different results. That's insanity. So in order to get something different, you have to do something different. Even though people prefer big rewards over small ones, they have an even stronger preference for present rewards over future ones, even when the future rewards are much bigger. This is called a hyperbolic discount. The farther away a reward is in the future, the smaller the immediate motivation to achieve it. And it might be that its objects are farther away appear smaller. This is the response for people who are asked, would you rather have $100 today or $200 next year? Right? I really think when I was evaluating this, I was thinking that people who are in this moment right now and are saying, I could get $100 right now, and if their circumstances are such that that $100 would mean a tremendous difference at this one particular moment, that they can't even see that the 200 would be better down the road. So they'd rather take one that they can right now, 100 right now, as opposed to waiting for the other. Right? And so how many times do we do that? How many times do people we know do that? That they're cutting themselves short. They're selling themselves short by taking the lesser benefit now as opposed to the greater benefit in the long run. Right? And so we have to think about that. Think about what we're really going toward. What is our grand purpose? What's going to do the best for our lives? Right? So their present bias overrides logic, and they allow a big future with potentially extraordinary results to get away. So they're missing out. They're taking that shortfall and giving up on a grander future. Delayed gratification, right? We had talked about that with the little kids and the marshmallows. What starts out as a marshmallow can later cost you much more. So the kids would rather eat the marshmallow they have right now than wait a few minutes, 3 minutes, to get a second marshmallow, right? So that's how it starts out as kids, and then adults continue on with the bigger things. So set the right priority and move closer toward accomplishing our purpose. Your one thing right now is nested. Okay, think about those Russian nesting dolls, right? Okay, there's a little one inside of a bigger one, inside of a bigger one, inside of a bigger one, right? So your one thing is right now is nested inside your one thing today, which is nested inside your one thing this week, which is nested inside your one thing this month. It's how a small thing can actually build up to a big one. You're lining up your dominoes. Right? And then we go on to the next page where it shows us exactly that chain of events, right? That happens of goal setting to the now. So you have your someday goal. What's the one thing I want to do someday? Okay. And this is where some assignment is going to begin. And so when we come back next week, I want you to have this mapped out, because that's part of what Gary Keller is telling us to do in this end of this chapter, right? So I want you to have mapped out your someday goal. What's the one thing you want to do someday? And then a 5-year goal based on your someday goal. What's the one thing you can do in the next 5 years, right? Okay. And then a 1-year goal based on your 5-year goal. What's the one thing you can do this year? And your monthly goal, based on your 1-year goal, what's the one thing you can do this month? And a weekly goal, based on your monthly goal, what's the one thing I can do this week? And a daily goal, based on my weekly goal, what's the one thing I can do today, right now? Based on my daily goal, what's the one thing I can do right now? And these daily goals, right? Okay, where this is part of our 65 days in a wake up, where we do these little activities right now, where we do the 2 coffee shop interviews and the 1 3-way every day. Those are those daily activities, right? You've got the right now, you've got the daily goal, right? And then you've got the weekly goal and the monthly, where it was because it was the 66 days, if you kind of think about it falling into there. But the bigger picture is not just the completion of the program. It could be about going to Go Pro, right? But then it can also be about what you're going to be able to establish in your life and in your business and to create toward your purpose a place where you can have these goals that are going to fall into place for you to achieve whatever that someday goal is. So that's what I want you all, and I will do the same, to map out what we want to do. Okay, now, and this future purpose connects to present priority. The next thing, and I'm going to ask if Miss Emily would like to read to us. Would Emily be willing to read to us? Oh, hang on.
I don't have the book.
Oh, you don't have the book. Okay, okay. Would someone else like to read out loud this portion of the book that is based on my someday goal? It's on page 151. Would someone like to read that for me? Is Ellen? Okay. All right, terrific.
Hi there. Okay, I'm not the best at reading out loud. Based on my someday goal, what's the one thing I can do in the next 5 years to be on track to achieve it? Now, based on my 5-year goal, what's the one thing I can do this year to be on track to achieve my 5-year goal? So that I'm on track to achieve my someday goal. Now, based on my goal this year, what's the one thing I can do this month so I'm on track to achieve my goal this year, so I'm on track to achieve my 5-year goal, so I'm on track to achieve my someday goal. Now, based on my goal this month, what's the one thing I can do this week so I'm on track to achieve my goal this month? So I'm on track to achieve my goal this year. So I'm on track to achieve my 5-year goal. So I'm on track to achieve my someday goal. Now, based on my goal this week, what is the one thing I can do so I'm on track to achieve my goal this week? So I'm on track to achieve my goal this month. So I'm on track to achieve my goal this year. So I'm on track to achieve my 5-year goal. So I'm on track to achieve my someday goal. So based on my goal today, what's the one thing I can do right now? So I'm on track to achieve my goal today. So I'm on track to achieve my goal this week. So I'm on track to achieve my goal this month. So I'm on track to achieve my goal this year. So I'm on track to achieve my 5-year goal. So I'm on track to achieve my someday goal.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ruth Ellen. That was
You're
lovely.
welcome. Thank you.
And you know, we all need to go through, if you haven't yet, and read that aloud to yourself. And he said, I hope you hung in there and read the entire thing. Why? Because you're training your mind how to think, how to connect one goal with the next over time until you know the most important thing you must do right now. You're learning how to think big, but go small. To prove its value, just skip the steps by asking yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now so I'm on track to achieve my someday goal? It doesn't work. The moment is too far from the future for you to clearly see your key priority, right? Doesn't that make sense? If you say, I want to go to Alaska, and you say, I'm going to start walking to Alaska, that just doesn't make sense. But you can walk to your car, and you can drive your car to the airport, and you can get in an airplane and take an airplane to Alaska. But you can't walk to Alaska unless you're in Alaska, you know. So you have to think about that. Think about, you need to make sure you don't skip those steps, right? It's why most people never get close to their goals. They haven't connected today to all the tomorrows it will take to get there. So you can have a dream, but if you don't do the things necessary right now to get you to the next step, there's absolutely no way you'll ever achieve the dream, right? So you have to make sure that you have reasonable things that you can do right now, today, this week, this month, this year, next 5 years to get your someday, right? Connect today to all your tomorrows. It matters. And then he talked about some research backing this up, and it was about students that are thinking about being successful in their class, right? And one group was told to visualize the outcome, like getting an A on the exam, and the others were asked to visualize the process needed to achieve a desired outcome, like all the study sessions needed to earn the A on the exam. The students who visualized the process performed better across the board. They studied earlier and more frequently and earned higher grades than those who simply visualized the outcome. Okay, so just seeing it, just visualizing it isn't enough. You have to do what's necessary to get there, right? Faith without works is dead. You have to do something in order to get there. God provides us with opportunity for anything. The world is our oyster if we are willing to make the effort and do what's required. We're capable of all things. We are created in a phenomenal existence in likeness of Him. And so if we think of ourselves in that way, of this magnificent creature, that we have this ability, then all the stuff that we deal with is the material stuff that we're messed up with. And it's really interesting because I'm doing a book study on Mere Christianity written by C.S. Lewis in my ladies' Bible study. And we were talking about the fact that God sees our hearts, because all of us deal with baggage, right? We deal with the material stuff that comes up in our lives. And the truth is that, God looks at us and says, you know what, I know what you've been through, but I also know what your heart is. And that's where we need to come from with this purpose. The purpose is your heart, right? And so you have to have that in the right direction of heading the right way. And you're going to mess up. We're all going to mess up. We're not perfect creatures, right? But we have an ability to aspire and to work hard, to perspire, to persevere, right? To go forward. So people tend to be overly optimistic about what they can accomplish, and therefore most don't think it all the way through. This is called a planning fallacy. Visualizing the process, breaking a big goal down into the steps needed to achieve it, helps engage the strategic thinking you need to plan for and achieve extraordinary results. Excuse me. Okay, and then we have the domino picture, right? The dominoes, which is just really kind of the same thing as we saw on the previous page, but in the familiar domino that Gary Keller likes to talk about. What's my one thing right now? Living a domino run of what's our someday goal, our 5 year, our 1 year, our weekly, our monthly, our weekly, and our daily, right? So when they ask me what they should do when he's going through his trainings and talking with people, he said, before I answer the question, let me ask you something. Where are you going and where do you want to be someday? Without fail, as I walk them through goal setting to the now, they catch on quickly and come up with their own answers. And by the time they tell me the one thing they should be doing right now, he laughs at them and says, so why are you still talking to me? Again, he's talking them through it, much like women talk and say, I just need to vent, or I need to walk through it in my head and hearing myself speak it with someone and explain it, and then the answers will come, right? Your last step is to write down your answers. Those who wrote down their goals were 39.5% more likely to accomplish them. That's 40%. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. By writing them down, that's how you can increase your likelihood of accomplishment. Writing down your goals and your most important priority is your final step to living by priority. There can only be one. Your most important priority is the one thing you can do right now that will help you achieve what matters most to you. Goal set to the now. Knowing your future goal is how you begin. Identifying the steps you need to accomplish along the way keeps you thinking clear while you uncover the right priority you need to accomplish right now. Put pen to paper, write your goals down, and keep them close. Pull your purpose through to a single priority built by goal setting to the now, and that priority, that one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary, will show you the way to extraordinary results. Once you know what to do, the only thing left is to go from knowing to doing. And that's the end of chapter 14. So what questions, comments, observations do you ladies have about this particular chapter? Yes, Ruth Ellen, let me unmute you. Yes, ma'am.
Looking at goal setting this way makes so much more sense. People have asked me, what is your goal for 5 years? And it's like, I have never, I have goals, I have thoughts, but even formulating how to get there has been like looking at a room and half the stairs are missing, to get to the second floor. And the way he does it, I'm printing this picture, the domino picture. I'm going to print this when this is over. And I'm going to put it on my wall, because this, to me, it gives me directions. It's like how to build the table, how to build the stairs. I just never thought of it this way, ever. Nobody ever described it in a manner that made sense to me. And I have done so many seminars and spent so much money in all the other network marketing companies to have these people tell you how to set goals and everything, but not one person, not one out of like 50 has even come close to having to make this much sense.
And isn't it ridiculously simple?
So simple.
Look at you go, really? That's it? That's it? And I love that idea. And I'm going to do the same thing, because I think I'm a visual person too. And so I like the idea of putting that up on the wall so that we can come into what our one thing is. Thank you, Ruth Ellen.
I might even scan this to my computer and make it part of my wallpaper.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I'm so tired.
Right?
I just can't even think right. But yeah, I love this because like what Ruth Ellen was saying, it's just, you're breaking it down in such a small, it's like, the whole eating the elephant, you got to take small bites. And you're right. I don't think anybody's really emphasized how, if you know what you're supposed to do every single day to get to what your big goal is, your someday goal, that makes so much more sense. So I love this book.
I do too.
Good stuff.
I do too. It's really cool. I'm so thankful to Denise and Tom for bringing it to our attention, because it really does work. And that we've seen it over and over again for the people that are graduating from 65 days in a wake up, that it does work. You just have to put it into action, and you have to be consistent and persistent to it. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was brought to tears in the beginning, almost. I wrote on my book, "Purpose without priority is powerless." That is a very big statement.
It really is.
I highlighted that little section. That is just.
Well, here's what an understanding of people make time to do what's important. And so when we don't work our longevity business, or we do all these other things, or we always have some other issue, right? But what's important, what you put in as a priority, that's important. You'll make time. You'll do whatever you have to do to make sure you get it done. And I think that's what's the shift of, is when you have that one thing, when you have that one thing that's important for your someday goal, then you're going to do whatever it takes to get that done that day, knowing that that's what's going to propel you into that next, level of your purpose and priority. And so people always say that. They say you make time for what's important.
That was really awesome. Even tired, that was quite profound.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to
Take it out. Tell Kenny's got to rub your feet.
I know. I got to go.
Yeah.
Get my feet rubbed, that's for sure.
Exactly. So who else? Anybody else have anything they'd like to add before we close out for the evening? Yes,
The
Jennifer.
only thing I would like to say is kind of relate to what he's saying about priority, because I figured it out because one of my personal goals is to become healthier and stuff. And I kept asking myself the question, why don't we put health as a priority? Why do we always fail to succeed at it? And it's clear, when we pay our bills, like our rent, our electric, we see it as a priority. We don't see it as, oh, well, maybe next month. We have to pay for that. So it's in our minds, we got to pay for that, come up with the money. So that's what we fail on health. We're so focused on what the healthcare system and stuff is doing. We're not focused, wait, maybe if we make this a priority, we might actually do it.
Amen. I love that. There's a saying, you can either pay the farmer now or the pharmacist later, right? And so think about that way, that if, you're going to pay for it at some point, it's when are you willing to make that change? And we unfortunately have seen loss, in people that we care about because they weren't willing to make the necessary changes, right? And Doc Wallach will even tell us that we can't out-supplement a bad diet. And so it's about a life change. And so, Jennifer, that was so beautiful, because it really is about setting a priority and understanding what's true. And by the way, we can make a change, in our society by the use of our dollars. And we see it now. We now see that things are changing, and albeit small, that you'll see, for example, the different fast food places will now all of a sudden have more salad choices, or they'll say that they're, hormone free. Right?
Yeah, but you look at some of the calories in their food, and it's not really that good for you. You're really killing yourself more than helping yourself.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't include the pop. I mean, calories and pop, and then all the side effects it's caused. Who would want to put that? But millions of people put it down the system every day.
The unfortunate thing too,
if you have a priority to pay your bills, why don't you make your health a bill? Every time you get a bill in the mail from your doctor, you make that a priority. It's no different.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And when you think about the fact that the things that their priority is about making money, right? So they're like Scrooge that we talked about, because they're not really concerned about the happiness or health of the people. And if you look at the dichotomy of what's on TV for advertisements as far as drug companies are concerned, and they'll show happy people riding horses and playing croquet and doing all these different things, and then the song is, they're dancing along and you can hear the song and the birds are singing and there's a cloud in the sky. And then at the bottom, it's like, you know, you could experience any one of these side effects, including death.
Oh yeah, I know. I started looking at that, and I already told my family doctor, because I have one, because you know I have my own personal health problems. We won't get into that, but I looked at my doctor. I said, if I ever get diabetes or if I ever get high blood pressure, I said, you're not writing me a prescription. I'm going to use Dr. Wallet's products because I know they work. And he's like, but Jim, what am I supposed to do? It's like, I don't know. Have fun. And he's like, that's not right.
Well,
I was like, well, it's the truth. I'm not already, when I hear some of the side effects that the medications that they put out causes, why would I want to put that in my system? I'm already taking one medication I wish I could get off. Why am I going to add more?
I understand that, true.
Yeah, and he just glared at me like I was not the one thing I should have said.
Yeah. You know, and it's interesting because there are some things that doctors can do that can be very helpful to us. And I in no way am ever saying that we need to disregard what a doctor's saying, but I also think we need to be mindful consumers and be aware of our circumstances, our health, and so forth, to make the best decisions based upon the information that we're provided. And you know, and that's something here too that we need to be careful of when we're talking with people about health issues, that we have to make sure that we don't tell people that we can treat, prevent, cure, or mitigate a disease. We need to make sure that they understand that the things that we provide support a healthy particular body system, right? So that's something we need to be sure of. So, all right, so let me see from our notes over here. Nancy said, sorry to join late, was on Star School. Very good. Totally thought they were an hour different. They were at one point, but we had a request for this to be earlier, Nancy. And so we moved it to 8 o'clock. I love all these development choices, phenomenal leaders everywhere. Oh, I'm so glad. And Marianne had to run. She had a call at 9 o'clock. Love you all. Absolutely. We love you too, Marianne. So with that, if there's not any other little bits of information that someone would like to share, then we can close out for the evening. And what we're going to do next week is we'll cover chapters 15 and 16 to finish out part 3, right? Oh, wait, no, we don't finish out part 3. 15 and 16, right? And then I don't like to cover more than 2 chapters because I think we want to be able to cover as much as we can. So I don't want to overwhelm our reading or our follow-up with it. So 15 and 16 next time will be what we can do. So
awesome.
Yeah. Nice. So with that, thank you all. I'm going to unmute you so we can say goodbye. I love you all. Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
That was really...
That was scary. Hang on. Hang on. What in the world did I do? Yeah. Okay. So I love you all and I appreciate you so much. And I just pray that you have a productive week. Work on coming back next week. We'll start with putting together our goal setting, right? And so we can print out the dominoes and we can come together and share what we've learned about goal setting to the now. Right?
Can you send me a photo of that, please?
Sure, I can do that. I can send it to you on Messenger. How about that?
Yep, that's fine. You got me on Messenger, girl.
I can do that.
All right,
sweetheart.
awesome.
God bless.
Send one my way too, Pamela.
I can do that. Yes?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
God bless. Love you guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.